Did you know that King Solomon, celebrated as the wisest man in biblical history, may have lived to regret some of his greatest decisions? Despite his unparalleled wisdom, wealth, and power, there's a little discussed twist in his life. Solomon's later years were marked by a spiritual struggle that unraveled the very kingdom he built. This isn't just the story of wisdom, it's also a story of human frailty, ambition, and the profound cost of compromise. So, what caused the man blessed with divine wisdom to falter? How could someone so wise fall into decisions that would ripple through generations? In today's video, we'll uncover the untold story of King Solomon, delving into the lessons hidden within his rise to glory, his golden years, and his poignant decline. Whether you're familiar with Solomon's tale or hearing it for the first time, you're about to discover a perspective on his life that few people know. Oh, and before we dive in, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you'll join a community dedicated to uncovering the depth of Holy Bible stories and the timeless lessons they offer. It's completely free, and it helps us bring these powerful narratives to a wider audience. King Solomon's journey to the throne wasn't a smooth succession. It was a battlefield of politics and divine intervention. Born to King David and Bathsheba, Solomon's claim was not the strongest by lineage. His older brother Adonijah declared himself king even before David's death, rallying support among Israel's most influential leaders. However, Bathsheba, along with the prophet Nathan, ensured Solomon's rightful anointing as king. This dramatic beginning was a reminder that even chosen leaders often face opposition before stepping into their destiny. At the beginning of his reign, Solomon felt the weight of responsibility. As a young, inexperienced ruler of a nation brimming with potential, he realized his human limitations. During a divine encounter at Gibeon, Solomon made a request that stunned even God. He didn't ask for wealth, power, or victory over his enemies. Instead, he asked for wisdom to lead his people justly. Pleased by this selfless prayer, God granted Solomon not only unparalleled wisdom, but also riches and honor, far beyond any king of his time. Here's a fascinating fact. Solomon's request for wisdom occurred at a high place, locations often associated with pagan worship. This detail adds complexity to his story, revealing his early struggles to align Israel's practices with God's commands. Yet, God met him there, highlighting his grace and willingness to guide those with a sincere heart. This moment established Solomon as a leader unlike any other. His wisdom and humility set the stage for one of the most remarkable reigns in biblical history. But as we'll see, the seeds of his challenges were sown early, even amid his divine blessings. With wisdom as his foundation, Solomon transformed Israel into a beacon of prosperity and faith. His administrative genius brought peace and economic growth. Trade flourished under alliances with nations like Tyre and Egypt, making Israel a central hub of ancient commerce. Solomon's crowning achievement, however, was the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. A project so grand, it took 7 years and untold resources to complete. The temple wasn't just a building, it was a spiritual center, a physical manifestation of God's covenant with Israel. Solomon's wisdom wasn't confined to governance. His legendary judgments, such as the story of 2 women claiming to be the mother of a baby, showcased his unparalleled discernment. This judgment cemented his reputation as a ruler blessed by divine insight. The fame of Solomon's wisdom spread far and wide, drawing rulers like the Queen of Sheba, who traveled great distances to witness his brilliance firsthand. Her visit wasn't just diplomatic, it was a testament to the global recognition of his unique gifts. However, beneath the surface of Solomon's accomplishments lay the beginnings of tension. The immense labor and taxes required for his ambitious projects began to strain the unity of Israel. While Solomon sought to glorify God, the burdens he placed on his people planted seeds of resentment. An intriguing perspective. Scholars speculate that Solomon's choice to use forced labor for building the temple foreshadowed the division of the kingdom after his death. While his wisdom could solve disputes and create prosperity, it couldn't eliminate the growing divides in his nation. The golden age of Solomon was unparalleled, but the cracks in its foundation remind us of the human cost behind even the grandest achievements. For all his wisdom, Solomon's reign was not immune to human weakness. His most controversial decisions centered around his marriages. With 700 wives and 300 concubines, many of whom were foreign princesses, Solomon's personal life became entangled in political alliances. These relationships introduced pagan worship into Israel, directly contradicting God's commandments. The Bible warns against such alliances, not out of xenophobia, but because of their spiritual implications. Solomon's heart, once fully devoted to God, began to drift. Pagan altars and temples appeared across Israel, undermining the religious purity he was supposed to protect. Here's a surprising angle. Some historians argue that Solomon's tolerance for foreign religions wasn't just personal weakness, but also a calculated attempt to maintain political stability. By allowing his wives to worship their gods, he hoped to prevent rebellion and preserve alliances. However, this compromise came at a spiritual cost, leading to a fractured relationship with God and growing unrest within his kingdom. As Solomon aged, the consequences of his compromises became apparent. His wisdom, though immense, couldn't protect him from the pitfalls of divided priorities. The once united kingdom he ruled began to show signs of fragmentation, a direct result of his choices. After Solomon's death, his legacy was marked by division. His son, Rehoboam, inherited a kingdom already strained by taxes, labor demands, and religious discontent. Under Rehoboam's rule, the unified Israel split into two kingdoms, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. This division, which endured for centuries, was a direct consequence of the tensions that had built up during Solomon's reign. Solomon's writings reflect a man deeply aware of his own shortcomings. Ecclesiastes, often attributed to him, reads like a personal confession. "Vanity of vanities," he writes, "all is vanity." These words reveal a man who, despite unparalleled achievements, found himself wrestling with the meaning of life. Solomon's introspection points to a profound truth. No amount of wisdom, wealth, or power can replace a heart aligned with God. The story of Solomon is a sobering reminder that even those blessed with divine gifts are susceptible to human frailty. His life challenges us to reflect on our own priorities and the legacy we aim to leave behind. Solomon's story isn't just a historical account, it's a guide for living a life of purpose. His humility in asking for wisdom shows the power of aligning our desires with God's will. It's a lesson in prioritizing spiritual values over personal gain. His later compromises warn us of the dangers of straying from our principles. Whether in faith, relationships, or leadership, small deviations can have far-reaching consequences. Solomon's divided heart serves as a cautionary tale about staying true to God's path, even when the world offers tempting alternatives. Finally, Solomon's writings remind us where true meaning lies. Fear God and keep his commandments, he concludes, for this is the whole duty of man. This wisdom, forged through triumph and regret, speaks across the ages, urging us to seek fulfillment in our Creator rather than in fleeting worldly pursuits. King Solomon's life is a mirror, reflecting both the heights of human potential and the depths of human weakness. It inspires us to seek wisdom while cautioning us against the dangers of compromise. Through his writings in Ecclesiastes and Proverbs, Solomon leaves us with a message that remains timeless. The pursuit of knowledge, wealth, or pleasure is futile without a foundation in faith. Consider this. Solomon had everything humanity strives for: power, wisdom, riches. And yet, his ultimate realization was the vanity of it all when disconnected from God. His call to fear God and keep His commandments isn't just ancient wisdom. It's a blueprint for modern living in a world that often prioritizes self over service. For leaders, his story reminds us to govern with humility, to seek counsel from God rather than leaning on our understanding alone. For individuals, it urges us to look inward and ask, what compromises are we making today that might lead to spiritual drift tomorrow? Are we building legacies of faith, or are we sacrificing long-term meaning for short-term gain? If Solomon's life teaches us one thing, it's that wisdom begins with reverence for God. It's a journey of learning and relearning, of rising and sometimes falling, but always returning to the Creator who sustains us. If this journey into Solomon's life has inspired or intrigued you, be sure to like this video and share it with others who might benefit from its lessons. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to explore more powerful stories from the Bible that resonate with timeless truths. Thank you for watching, and may the lessons of Solomon guide you in your own journey of faith and wisdom.